Hello everyone, I was in Bonham the other day and I got to stop at the Fannin County History Museum, which is the site of a train station that closed in the early 1970s. And it's a fascinating museum. I highly encourage you, if you're in Bonham, to go to it. It's just south of the main square, about 3 blocks. And they had this little caboose here, which I learned because everybody, when I was a kid, I loved trains. I said, I want to ride in a caboose. Find out it's not the best job in the world because you're at the end of the train and the way it jerks and stuff. Anyway, I met a couple of fascinating people, and we'll go ahead and have them speak for a bit, and then I'll jump back on and tell a little bit of tidbits about the museum. Alrighty.
Okay.
Here we go.
Fannin County was named after James Walker Fannin. He was killed at the Alamo.
Mm-hmm.
The town is Bonham, Texas. It's named after James Butler Bonham, who came from Saluda, South Carolina. He went to Alabama. He became an attorney, and then he
There we go.
came to Texas and volunteered to fight in the Revolutionary War, Texas Revolutionary War. He was known as the messenger to the Alamo. He left Alamo once for sure, and perhaps twice, went to Goliad, where Fannin was, and pleaded with him to bring troops to the Alamo to help safeguard it, to help defend it. As it turns out, that would have been a fool's errand. The Mexicans had about 3,000 troops. The Alamo had about 180, maybe a little more, plus or minus. And so Mr. Bonham was also killed at the Alamo. After Texas became a state in 1845-46, in that time frame, about that time, they had named this Blue Town or something like that. Yep, something like that. And the Republic of Texas said, nah, we're going to name some of these cities after our heroes of the Revolutionary War. And so they named Fannin, and they named the town Bonham after those two heroes of the Alamo. There's a statue of Bonham up here on our square on the south.
I saw that.
That was done by Allie Tennant, who was a young woman who had become very good at the things that she did like that. There's a Indian.
It's the golden Indian that's like pulling a crossbow at Fair Park.
Yes.
There's like a statue on one of the.
Is that near the fort?
No, Fair Park, like Dallas.
Fair Park, Dallas.
Yes,
Okay.
so there's a statue of, it's like an Indian and he's pulling a crossbow.
Okay.
On one of the buildings in Fair Park, and she did that one as well.
Yeah, and so
It's the one we have here.
to do that. And
Okay.
it's up there some 10, 12 years ago. The Historical Commission, which is at the other end, did a fundraiser and had it redone, cleaned up, and had it redone. So Fannin County has got deep history in it. At one time, it stretched from, it was part of Red River County, actually. And at one time, it stretched from Lamar County all the way out to about Childress.
That's pretty far off.
Yes, it is. And when Texas became a state, all that property was divvied up into about 20-odd counties.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Fannin County, I think, is about 900 square miles.
Wow. See, I moved, when I got out of the Air Force, I first moved to Flower Mound for the kids in their schools. And once we became empty nesters, I moved to Rockwall, which is the smallest county.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is.
But they packed the people in there.
Sure did.
Oh my gosh, and I was one of them. I feel guilty.
This is Katie, the one who should be leading you. So I will hunker down and leave and let Katie take over.
All righty, well, I appreciate that.
It was good to see you.
My pleasure.
My pleasure, sir. You take care.
I'm sorry. Don't leave that.
Yes.
Yeah, I go everywhere with my Kindle. So.
Enjoy.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Hey, now you're just hanging out. Okay, so what we have in here, this is all stuff that has been donated and given to us from people here in Fannin County. So everything in here is something that belonged to a family, is connected to a business, connected to the city, something. There is just a wide variety of things though. Most things fall date-wise between 1836, which is when people really started to permanently settle right in this area, to a little after World War II, give or take some stuff, because we know a lot, but we are not, I would not call us experts on everything. Because as you'll see, there's just a lot of stuff. But there is a little bit of everything. The best way to see the museum is kind of exploring and walking around and looking at everything, and you can film and do all that kind of stuff.
Alrighty.
Or if you want me to point things out or anything, whatever.
I love how you just walk around and go, ooh, look at this.
Yes, that is one of my favorite things about it. And then a lot of times too, I've been here about 4 years now, and people will still point things out, and I'm like, I don't even know if I knew that was sitting in that case, because there's just so many little things,
and you can be by some little thing that's so significant.
Yeah, exactly. And I do love that too, which is something you get in these small town museums, is like, this is stuff that was personal and it belonged to people and they cared about it and stuff like that. And so it has that little bit of like, this is how they were living, and this, it was cared for, that kind of stuff. And so there's this room over here to the side. There's all of this up front in like these different rooms and display cases and things like that. And then you'll work your way all the way around, and there's a doorway back over here, and that is where you go all the way down to the other end.
Okay.
So it is the whole building.
Wow.
And then this building itself, this was the Texas and Pacific Train Depot.
And I got that from out there, yeah.
Yes. And so there's some things in here that are still original from the depot and stuff like that, like this ticket counter. This is always where this has been.
Oh, cool.
And
this is from the 1870s?
So this one actually would have been 1900s, because this building, it burned at one point.
Okay.
And so it burned in 1918. It was rebuilt in 1919. When you're standing outside, if you look at the building as a whole, you'll see there's two different colored bricks. So the darker brick that's down on that end is the older brick. That's where the original 1800s part was. This part was built back on in 1919. Okay. And so, you'll see some of those things, but when you get to that far end, there is still writing and stuff on those brick walls, and that's where they used to store the freight and things like that, and that's all original and stuff, which is really cool. But there is just stuff all over, like this clock right here, this Texas Pacific clock. This has been hanging in here forever. Not necessarily that exact spot, but in this building. And I've been told from some of our volunteers, there's a piece of paper in the back, like where they wrote from like the last train and stuff, and everybody signed it. But I've never been.
When did the train service stop? Probably after.
So passenger train service stopped in 1950. Okay. And then freight service stopped in the 70s, like early 70s, somewhere in there. And then after that, this building, it became a feed store for a little bit, and then it became the museum.
That is awesome.
The museum opened in the 90s. Items and tools and things.
And here's all the this
is their courthouse. So the pictures on the wall are all the different versions of the courthouse throughout the years.
But they kept the same foundation, it looks like.
Yes. So the courthouse building has always been essentially the same building. They've just done remodels on it. What it looks like now is what it looks like. They tried to make it look as close as they did to the 1888 version.
Yeah.
Which is that one.
That one right there.
And then in 1929, it caught on fire of New Year's.
Yeah, what's that monstrosity?
So we went from this, and when it burned, it only burned the top part, and they cut the top off.
Okay.
So then we're like this all the way until we get to the 60s. And then in 65, they decided to modernize it, and it's very Art Deco.
Yeah.
So that is actually a stone facade that is put all the way around the original building.
Okay.
And so what happened whenever they decided to do this whole reconstruction is they took that stone facade off, kept as much of the skeleton of the original building as they could, and rebuilt it. So now it looks like it does now.
Okay.
It's just been one big cycle. And all of this is stuff they found while they were doing work on the courthouse, like little things that had been left over the years. Like the piece of flooring, they found that under layers and layers of other flooring. And in the courthouse now too, we do have some other display cases of things they found, some maps, stuff like that. And you can go in there and walk around and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. I thought I might try and visit that.
Yeah, I always tell people they should go in there just because it's so pretty and it is really cool because I mean it's as close as we could get it to it historically accurate. Like the paint colors in there were matched from paint samples that they found. The flooring was recreated from the oldest layer they found, stuff like that. So it is very cool.
So as I say in the subtitles, I botched the Da Vinci editing. I'm still working on it. And the audio files got so misaligned because I was chopping things up. We would get off topic a lot. We talked forever about teacher stuff. We had stories that we talk of various historical anecdotes. And I didn't realize it, but I was there for almost 2 hours and the camera was rolling the whole time. And we were just chit-chatting, which is kind of cool. Anyway, this museum has a ton of stuff, all pretty much donated by the locals. And I play, I play a role-playing game sometimes that takes place in the 1920s or Victorian or Edwardian England. And this is really good way to see how some of these people lived. I mean, just think about it. Hats. You don't think about hats, but up till World War II and a little bit beyond, everybody wore hats. And just seeing the different types of hats and everything. The electronics that they used in the early 20s, pretty fascinating. And this is just a good way to be part of the continuous or cultural memory. So I came over here and I saw this and it looked like a World War II, World War I display. And I'm looking at that rifle going, that's a musket. And I'm pretty sure that's a 1842 Springfield rifle musket because of the sight on the top of the barrel. You could almost see it right under that little flag. And that made me very curious. So if I'm wrong, please put in the comments that's not an 1842 Springfield rifle musket. Commonly used in the Civil War. Alrighty, and then some other tidbits here, and it's all donated by families. So when you see something like this, it was some family member that said, we're going to do that. And I'm probably going to do that with some of my stuff too. I'll have to check. Flower Mound I always considered my Texas home since I left the Air Force, but I don't know if Rockwall has one. Check it out. This was a personal diary entry by a lieutenant that fought in the Battle of Vicksburg from Bonham. And it was pretty telling. I read the whole thing, what I can read. And it was pretty cool. So lots and lots of stuff. They had fossils. Now, kids always look for, arrowheads and sometimes you'd find fossils. I was never that lucky. I didn't find hardly anything. A couple of fossils. But my brother, I think, found some arrowheads. But I just sucked at it, I guess. But it's pretty cool. But all found in the local creeks. And here we talk forever on what I always call the horse apple, but the Bois d'Arc tree actually is pretty important in the history of the Caddos and early settlers. The Caddos would use this wood because it was very hard. In fact, when I was a kid, my brother gave me an axe and had me try and chop one of the logs of a Bois d'Arc, which I never even knew the real name of it until I was an adult. But these green apple-looking things, I call them horse apples, and you can feed it to a horse. It won't hurt them, but they taste awful. I had one when I was a kid. Every kid eats one just on a dare, not the whole thing, just one bite is all you need to realize this tastes awful. But people ate the seeds back then too. I like these little school desks from the 1890s. Pretty cool. And you can see the markings on them just like kids do today, only, their drawings are a little bit more better because the things I've seen drawn on the desk in my classroom, they sometimes weren't the nicest things, especially in my on-level algebra class. Just so many little things that show how they lived. And this is one of the good things about the museum. You go to the big city museums and you'll see these important artifacts. But these museums show everyday life. The little things. So if you're writing historical novels or you're playing role-playing games that take place in these settings, these museums are a must visit. I was initially baffled because I saw the 1849 date on that thing, and I'm thinking, that's not 1849. It's like 1920s, but yeah. And we talked forever on, we just chatted like crazy, but we talked forever on the old technology stuff. That was pretty cool. And also one thing I learned in Bonham, they have the largest barn quilt trail in Texas. I love old fire trucks. This is from 1912. And it's actually in the photo of the courthouse fire. They could use some volunteers to get that engine running and get into a parade someday. Now, Bonham was the site of a large pilot training during World War II. Over 10,000 pilots would train here. Oops, sorry, 5,000. Good thing I put that in the notes. And those little PT trainers, they flew in that. And there's quite a few accidents. You would think of all the people that died in World War II, we don't think of aircraft accidents as one of the leading causes of death for categories, but it was a lot of people killed. And then a lot of these people went on to bombers, and the attrition rate in bombers over Europe was it was just horrifying. If you ever get a chance, watch 12 O'Clock High with Gregory Peck. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it. If you get a chance to go to Bonham, please drop by this museum. They can use your support. And they're open 12 to 4 Tuesday through Saturdays.